Football is back, and BetMGM is inviting new customers to join the huddle and enjoy the action like never before. Sign up today using bonus code CHAMPION, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. You'll also have instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, player props, and boosted odds specials. Just download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com and enter bonus code CHAMPION and place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. The BetMGM app is the perfect way to experience the excitement of wagering on live sports, now in more markets than ever. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Virginia only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-532-3500.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the DTVC Connoisseur. How is everyone doing tonight? And Jamie, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. I'm excited to be here.
All right, excellent. So I wanted to get a few administrative things out of the way before we jump in to Erased. We're going back to Belgium tonight after a week off. Are you excited to get back to Belgium after going there with In Bruges?
Yes. It's a completely different experience, but yes.
You just can't get enough of those French fries and Stella Artois. So let's see here. So, the first thing I wanted to say is last week we got the most downloads of the podcast that we have had since we started. So thank you everybody for checking us out.
When we talked a bunch of nonsense?
Exactly. I know, of all the podcasts, everybody loved what we had going on. I guess
does that mean we should talk nonsense from here on out?
That's it. We're going to roughly start with a little Aaron Eckhart, and the next thing we know, it's going to be David Silver saying, I might be white, but I'm not vanilla. And so that's what'll happen. But so we had that. Also, we got a review of our podcast. DEZR04 told us, he gave us a really great review. 5 stars. He said that you and I have a great back and forth. A+ entertainment. He also said to check out the live show, which is what we're doing right now. But so I want to thank him very much for doing that as well.
For sure. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, and I'm not sure. I think you're on the same page with me on this. That I love the reviewing the podcast and people that review and rate. That's always great. But the main thing is I just love that we have the podcast on iTunes so that people who want to check out the show have one more way that they can do that.
Oh yeah, and any number of ways that we can get people to be able to give it a listen, that's okay with me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the things about our time, we're on at 8 p.m., which is, like you mentioned, it's rush hour in LA or on the West Coast. So it's hard for everyone to be able to listen live because of that. And so, especially for those West Coast people, there are a lot of people I know that follow my blog or our blog, all of those things from England. So for them, it's like, 3 in the morning or 1 in the morning? What is it?
1 in the morning.
1 in the morning. Yeah. So, it's not easy for everybody to get in at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So, to have these different ways, I think is fantastic.
I agree. And it breaks my heart to think that someone out there would like to listen but is unable to.
Yeah.
So that makes it all better.
Yeah, any way we can do it is what we want. Excellent, very good. Now, Jamie, anything? Now, did you had the Insomniacs playlist last night?
Yes, I did. That was an epic episode. It was 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have posted the link, the Dropbox link. It's on my Twitter and my Facebook. So if anyone wants to listen to it now, they can. It will be archived at legionpodcast.com when I get around to it. But you can listen to it now. It was a fun show, though. It was all about sex. I
Excellent.
did all sexy music
So,
and went all over the place. I did some metal, did some rock, did some pop. It was just threw some things at you, some things that you were expecting, and some things that you probably hadn't thought of in years.
yeah. Now, Berlin, did you get the Berlin song "Sex" in there or no? Was that too easy?
No, I didn't. Oddly enough. But that's a good one. Oh man.
Yeah. See, I was
No,
thinking
I
that would
didn't.
that
But
would have been too obvious. See, I was thinking you could just say, no, that's too obvious. Of course, we're not doing sex.
oh no, I did some obvious stuff.
Oh, you did.
I did. I
Okay.
did the stuff that Closer was in there when
Nice.
sure that was pretty obvious. And I ended the show with the Bad Touch from Bloodhound Gang. So I
Ooh,
thought that was
yeah.
a fun little way to end the show. And so yeah, I mean there are some usual suspects in there.
Hmm.
I had a fun time though. Three of my choices were from the Filthy 15,
Hmm.
which if you are familiar with the Parents Council that was founded in 1985 by
Yes.
Tipper Gore and the other
Hmm.
Washington wives, when
Yeah.
they had a list of the Filthy 15, the songs that were deemed unlistenable because of their content, whether it was about sex or drugs or whatever. But
Hmm.
so three of my choices were directly from that list. So basically, I'm flying in their faces with that.
Nice. Yes. Oh my God, I remember that. My mom always had this theory about music like that, where it's like, as long as you don't say the words, I don't care what you listen to. And so it was always this badge of honor for me to have my mom like give the stamp of approval to this, music that's very, that got the Tipper Gore explicit lyrics, symbol on it.
Yeah, and in tribute to that, if you see the show art for this week, I slapped an explicit lyrics
Oh.
on there, but I purposely did not use the one that says parental guidance, because
Yeah.
I don't need any parents' guidance. This
No.
is we're all grown up. So,
Exactly.
but I did. I thought that would be funny, so I slapped an explicit lyrics on there. And there are some explicit lyrics, but I'm pretty explicit too. I mean, you know me, I don't hold back.
Sure. Sure. And
So it was a very empowering show.
yeah, excellent. Yeah, and I have just as far as the podcast, actually, I have updated ours so it is in the explicit lyrics tag. So
Is that my fault?
no, 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 no. Well, no. I didn't put it on originally because I was like, we don't swear that often. But then when I actually listened to the podcast and I realized that we do swear that often, I thought, well, let's just be on the safe side. So if you're a youngin' out there and you want to listen to the podcast and there's some sort of parental thing that's preventing you from it, just drop us a line. My email is dtvconnoisseur@yahoo.com. Drop us a line. We'll send you a copy of the podcast. We don't want kids to miss out on what we're doing here because it's not that bad. It's just we do.
Oh no, of course
Yeah.
not. And I have a personal theory. It's basically if you don't cuss, then I really don't trust you. I mean,
Right.
it's just I have this whole. I mean, I could get into this whole diatribe that I have about language and how we're so completely hung up
Right.
on words. When what is the difference
Yeah.
between saying "darn it" and
Mhm.
"damn it" when you mean exactly the same thing?
Right. Right. Oh my
Of course,
gosh.
damn
Oh my
is,
God.
they'll say "damn" on television now. That's not
Yeah.
a big deal. But freak or fuck.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. The same meaning is behind it. We are so hung up on these words. And who gets to decide what is a good word and what is a bad word? That's
Mhm.
completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Words are words. And so, I mean, you don't want to get me started on that, but it's just like, so I have this complete and utter freedom about language. And I think that it's all about intent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about how you talk to someone
Mhm.
and, what you mean when you say it.
Yeah.
That's what's important.
Yeah. I always teach that. As a English as a second language teacher, that's one of the biggest things I tell my students is that tone really changes the meaning of something. And so if we're swearing here, but we're doing it in good-natured fun, it's just having a good time.
Sure.
Yeah. And so that's the key.
It means I'm passionate.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Now, Jen always gets a kick out of me because I almost never swear, except for when I'm really tired. I don't know what it is, but the moment the fatigue sets in, suddenly I'm just like, oh, fuck that bastard. It comes out, and tell that person he can go fuck himself, and it'll be something as simple as like, we might see a commercial for McDonald's, and I'll be like, tell Ronald McDonald he can go fuck himself, and so,
That makes it that much more entertaining
yeah.
when you do so.
Oh.
Well, and that's funny is I've noticed that about you. I mean, and it's not that I don't trust you because you do swear on occasion, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But just enough to make it into my inner circle.
Right, exactly.
But,
yes.
but no, I've noticed that it's not. I mean, you're not like a pirate sitting over there with the language flowing, and and so I tend to try to be respectful of that. I mean, I'll still let a fuck fly because that's just who I am. But but when you do, I love it.
Right. Yes, it makes it all the better. Right, when I do let one go. Yes, it's just. Well, now speaking of the F word here, we're looking at a movie called Erased with Aaron Eckhart. Initial thoughts, Jamie. What have you got for us?
Well, I actually thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, me too.
It was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good. I really enjoyed his performance. I enjoyed his performance versus his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, teens are a hard sell for me because they'll either be, they'll straddle annoying or, just
right.
I wish you would die.
Yes, yes.
And even though she starts off, have sort of a shaky relationship, by the time we get to the middle of the movie, they're rocking together.
Yeah.
I love it, like the scene where they're in the hotel and they're basically mano a mano, like they're, like you be my eyes and ears, and like she's looking out for him, and I like this kid.
Yeah.
At first I wasn't sure because she was kind of a smartass.
Yeah.
But then, even in the very beginning, like the first time we see her, and she's being sort of a smartass to him, and he's talking to her about the report card.
Right. Yeah.
And then she starts to leave, and she's like, "You're not going to kiss me goodbye?" And I was like, "Aw."
Yeah.
And so right then and there, I was like, you know what? I like this kid okay.
Yeah.
And then throughout, I really did.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you first. I think that Aaron Eckhart carries the movie. But with her, I thought her character was very believable. Usually when a teen is too street smart or is too, self-assured, it doesn't come off right. But the way her character was developed, the way she was kind of like this kid who's very cosmopolitan due to the fact that her parents lived in different countries. They were separated. So she kind of, you could get the sense that she had to do a lot on her own. And I think that added, it was believable that she would be able to kind of go that next level and kind of be able to help him out as much as she could.
Well, it takes a maturity to be able to adapt to various surroundings anyway.
Right.
So if you're going to be, if you have been moved from place to place, or now you're living internationally, and then you have been forced to adapt to that situation, then you're going to grow up, and you're going to have a little bit of maturity about you. So I think it's totally believable.
Yeah.
And I think she carried it off really well.
Exactly.
She's a cute girl too. She was. I like her little round face.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, right, like you said, at the very beginning, she did seem bad, and the first thought that popped in my head is like girl on Tumblr who reblogs a picture of, maybe black and white picture of two teenagers having sex and writes above it like this, or why can't I, feels, whatever, a picture of young Robert Downey Jr. and writes feels on it, like that's what I was expecting. And then, like you said, it was a little bit better. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yes. I get all the feels. Yes. Now, I wanted to say about Aaron Eckhart. My big thing with Aaron Eckhart is that
that vein in his right hand.
That was part. That one was one thing. But no,
you noticed
I
that?
did notice that.
That drives me crazy.
Yes.
I was like, how can you not do something about that? Do something about that. It's scary looking.
Yes. Well,
looked like some kind of parasite living under his skin.
It did. It was pretty good size. Yeah. So maybe we may have ruined the film for everybody now because they're not gonna be able to watch it without looking at that. No, I'm just kidding.
It wasn't that bad.
No.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but that was just something that stuck at me.
Well, no, you made a great point there. Now, one thing I noticed, and I don't know if you noticed this too. We're both Americans. We're both red-blooded, God-fearing Americans, and Belgium is it Belgium's to me, and I want to get into more about Belgium later in the podcast, but it seems to be the best and the worst of Europe, right? It seems to be everything that you think is great about Europe and everything that's bad. Like it has the old world charm, seems like, it's got like the history, the cosmopolitan nature, but then it also seems to have that stuck up aristocratic vibe, the kind of racist vibe that just like Northern European, we're better than everybody else, we have the better culture vibe. And I feel like Aaron Eckhart is just so like red-blooded, meat-eating American, and that he just kind of like, as an American myself, I couldn't help but root for him to just take it to these even though the bad guy was an American too, there was still this sense of like, yeah, get in there, American, like bull in a china shop, and just take care of business. I don't know. Did you have a feeling, like, or was that just me?
I don't know if I did feel that way, but I don't know if I would equate it to that. I think I just really like Aaron Eckhart. So I kind of went in with that attitude. I typically like the way he portrays any character.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, even when we find out things about him that aren't glowing, I guess, I don't know what I still am on his side. I was always on his side.
Yeah, well, if I had to choose between him and the bad things he did and Belgians, I'm still going with him.
You're choosing him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my feeling. But, I think, you make a great point about Aaron Eckhart. There is a certain earnestness. I mean, you can look at him and be like, oh, the romantic comedy guy, he just seems to have that, like, chiseled, featured, all-American thing that kind of can be boring and off-putting. But or on the surface, he has that. But I think you're right. There's a certain earnestness that he brings to whatever role he's playing that just makes it, even if the movie itself is bad, it just makes it a little bit better from him.
My favorite Aaron Eckhart role was Thank You for Smoking. I love him, and I think he completely he is like the personification of what that film is about, and that goes back to him being so American and so chiseled jaw, and he's like the representation of everything that you think of commercially, and so he plays that really well. But then there can be a softness to him and some emotion to him, and I kind of felt that when he was with his daughter. The fact that he didn't, she got upset with him because he was lying to her about a lot of stuff, but he was only lying to her because he didn't want her to know, because she's his daughter, and he didn't want her to know these things about him. So it was a noble thing. It was, who would?
Yeah.
Who would? So it's but there was a softness and a tenderness, and there was one point where he called her a smart ass.
Yes.
and it was just sort of in the midst of everything that's going on, she says something, I forget now what it was about, but he's like, smart ass, I believed that. I totally believed it.
Yeah, it did. That, for me, the movie itself, I will say, like, I kind of liked the plot, kind of didn't. The director, I'm a big fan of. He did a movie called, I should have written his name down. I can't believe I didn't do that.
Philip Stolzel.
Yeah, he's German. And he did this really great movie called The North Face, also known as Norvand. If you haven't seen this movie, you've got to see it. It's in German with English subtitles. It was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is on Instant, but it's about these two men in the 30s who, under Nazi Germany, who try to climb the north face of the Eiger with just your old-fashioned, Alpine. I mean, this is the 30s. You think of the Alpine equipment they had back then, and it is intense. So it's like the most. As far as like scary. You think of it like a horror film being scary. This has all of the fear elements you want with the heights and the wind and the cold. Everything to it. So when I went into this one, I was looking for that, and he did deliver some of it, but I also felt like he kind of went a little too Bourne Identity with it.
That's exactly the feeling that I got too.
Yeah. And so I had that going on where it was kind of a little too Bourne Identity. It felt like a little bit of a retread. I also, other than the daughter, I didn't like a lot of the other actresses.
Like Transporter.
Yes, exactly.
In some elements.
Yeah, it had that feel, but Aaron Eckhart really carries it through all of that stuff for me. And I noticed myself thinking that as I'm watching it. I'm like, I shouldn't like this movie. I don't normally like this movie, but I'm liking it because I'm rooting for Aaron Eckhart. I think it's working on that level, and I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting to feel that way.
I think as far as the plot and the story goes, I was actually pleasantly surprised with some of the turns that we took.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the very. It's okay. It's kind of funny because the movie is called Erased,
right?
So
yes.
it should have been in the forefront of my mind.
yes.
When he first goes to the headquarters,
mm-hmm.
When his establishment just disappears,
right?
And then he goes to the main headquarters, and he's like, "Look, I work for you," and they're like, "No, you don't."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yes, I do," and they're
yes.
like, "No, you don't." And he's like, "Look, I was hired. He's like, "Let me have your battery. I've got my BlackBerry. I've got all of my correspondence
mm-hmm.
in here." Then they look at it, and there's nothing
there.
So there's absolutely no proof of him ever existing with this company or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, ooh, I mean, it was kind of chilling,
mm-hmm.
And then when he finds the bodies, and then I was,
yeah.
And then it hit me. I was like, well, it's called Erased.
Right. But it had a little like North by Northwest, or kind of. I don't want. I hate to be cliche ridden and talk about it being Hitchcockian, but it had that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of a modern version
mm-hmm.
of but it's one of those stories, and I love those stories though,
mm-hmm.
where that what's going on,
right?
And you're on their side,
mm-hmm.
and yet they have no proof of what they're trying to prove, and so it's just every time they turn a corner, it's what they're expecting to be there isn't there,
mm-hmm.
and there's no way for them to prove that what they're trying to say is true,
mm-hmm.
and I hate that for them, because then I start to feel for him, like, but no.
Yes. Oh, exactly. Yes. I mean.
And then he's like, I was getting paychecks from you, and I'm like,
yeah. Right.
He was.
Yes. Yes. I know. I kind of like I with my job. I probably shouldn't be talking about this on the air, but my when I have to contact support, sometimes there are people that don't speak English as a first language, and sometimes it's like I feel the same way. I'm like, I'm giving you proof that I taught this class. Why are you Well, I got to go check with, and then, then they refer to me as she because they get their object pronouns incorrect, and, it just. So I kind of could feel for Aaron Eckhart there a little bit too. I kind of sympathize with him a little bit. It was,
And in this age of everything being so reliant
yes.
on electronic devices and electronic correspondence,
mm-hmm.
it's much easier to lose your proof.
Yes.
Back before we had everything in email.
Right.
You had paper copies of everything, and you had
yes.
your proof right there. But
mm-hmm.
since everything is pretty much electronic these days, if someone wants to wipe you out,
yeah.
Then you're going to be wiped out.
Yeah, yeah. And Aaron Eckhart, his character was just the kind of character that would have kept everything electronic. He was, up on a lot of technology. I mean, what we see his job is he's trying to circumvent security technology and showing how to do that. And of course, we see he gives the blueprint for, and we know. I'm not really giving anything away because they show us that this guy is not to be trusted. That he's the baddie right away, which is kind of an interesting twist that we see. We know that this guy is not to be trusted, and we actually watch Aaron Eckhart telling him how to break into the security device, which was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I really like that scene too, where he's just going through each device and saying, "Okay, this is what we found."
Yes.
We played with this one for a while. It was kind of tough,
mm-hmm.
but then, or with the first one, he's like, we don't want to use something that could be so easily dismantled with
right.
household bleach.
Yes.
But I really like that stuff. I love all the techno stuff, and I find it completely fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have a movie that goes into it that in depth, at least for that little bit, it always interests me quite a bit, because I think, and that's why I love like heist movies where they
yes.
use technology. That always fascinates me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't know. I love that shit.
Yeah. No, I
like sneakers.
Yes. Oh yes.
I love sneakers.
Oh yes. I haven't seen that one in forever.
That movie is great.
Yes. Yeah. You're right about that. Like when I think about some other ones like that, it like when we think about Parker, not to go back, but one of the things I didn't like about Parker was that opening heist. One, it took forever to happen, and two, there was none of that kind of, and also the other big heist. They didn't do any of that really. It was all very simple.
Yeah, and that's kind of like that's why I like movies like Ocean's 11
Yeah.
and or like The Italian Job,
Yeah.
the remake of The Italian Job, or wait, or there's something else that was sticking out now. I can't think of what it was, but anytime it's something, even something as simple as like Gone in 60 Seconds,
Yep.
when they have, and what I love about that film is that they have like the old school carjack guys
Mm-hmm.
versus the new ones who have all the current technology, and
Yeah.
I love to see old school face off with technology. It
Y-
just
yeah. Yeah.
That's something I liked about Expendables 3 too.
See, I haven't seen that yet.
Whole
I'm.
thing, but they had the old versus the new, and
Yes.
Dolph Lundgren, of course, is part of the old guard. And when they're introduced to the new kids, one of the new guys has this like, um, it's a device on his arm that like, no, I don't even know what all it does, but he uses it to control like bombs and things, and
Right.
later on, later on, Dolph Lundgren shows up with one, and they're like, "Where did you get that?" And he's like, "I bought it after the guy." And he's like, "I just used it to check the weather."
Oh my God, that would be odd. Oh my God, I would love that.
It's great.
See, I'm like too much the video guy. I never get out to the theater anymore, so I need to do. I wanted to check that one out too, but so I
Well, I got to tell you,
yeah.
I PG-13 hurt that quite a bit. I
Ooh, it was
did.
PG. Yeah,
Um, and it's just because I think it's just because I was used to the level of violence that we got from 1 and 2.
yeah,
I mean, but I think there are other issues with that one too. Like I really don't think the story's all that strong. Although I saw it twice, and the second time I watched it, I liked it better.
okay,
But I think it did have issues. It's not my favorite
yeah,
by any stretch, but it was okay.
yeah.
It was
PG
all right.
PG-13 hurts. That's one thing that I like about direct to video is that it can go unrated, and so it doesn't need to worry about getting an audience of kids to come in to see it. I think that helps. They don't, they can afford to be as dirty or as nasty as they want without losing part of their audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that helps. Oh, Beefy Beard said Rambo 5 is going to be gory as shit. I remember Rambo 4. Oh man.
God, gloriously gory
Oh,
and
so good.
all of its high definition goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I love the shit out of that movie.
Yeah.
He also said Sneakers has a great cast, and
He did.
yes, it does. That's
Yeah.
part of the strength of that film is it had an amazing cast. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love
Oh.
I love the last Rambo film, and then I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. I want body parts flying and
Yes.
blood gushing. That was just great.
Oh my God, that scene where he has that massive machine gun on the back of the truck, and you just see this pile of extras coming in here. It's like, oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. Yeah. Oh.
There are scenes where you actually see pieces like a
Yes.
leg go flying across
Yes.
the screen. I'm
Yeah.
like, nailed it.
Yeah. Oh my
so
God.
I think, yeah, as far as like Expendables 3 goes, and I'm not saying PG-13 is bad just across the board. I don't think that's a death knell for movies. That's not at all what I'm saying.
No, but
I'm just saying if you start out a franchise
an R.
with a strong R,
Yeah.
and then you dip it down to a PG-13, to me it just sort of loses a little something just because
Yeah.
of what I had been used to before.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
But this one is an R-rated film, and I'm not really sure why.
Well, because I noticed this again. We're in a hospital, and hospital workers are getting mowed down. I don't know what movie people do people who make movies have bad experiences in hospitals, because it seems like every time we watch a movie here, the medical community are getting it. And here we are in Belgium. There's that fight scene where the assassin guy is going after Aaron Eckhart, and we get some really good action between those two. But people in the hospital are just getting blown away. He's like, they're just standing there as human shields for Aaron Eckhart. So that's where the PG-13. I think it's two scenes. I think it's the very opening heist where we get everybody who works at the bank is shot, and then the hospital scene. I think that's where our rating comes from.
And then, I mean, like when we come out of the vault, and then you see like the woman slumped on the ground in the corner. She's been shot twice, and then you
Right.
see the guy slumped on the ground, and then the other guy comes in and he gets shot.
Yeah.
But there's nothing really visceral about it. There's
Yeah.
nothing bloody about it. It's just shot bodies, and I can see if there was body parts flying random and blood and gore.
Yeah.
But it's just there is a lot of death, but
Yeah.
it's like action death. It's not gory death, and so I
Yeah.
guess I don't know. Maybe I'm just too used to. I don't know. I mean, I'm just
Well,
too used to other things. I look at this and I'm like, I don't see what's so bad about it.
you know what else it might be? It might just be that Belgium itself bumps the rating up. Had the film been set, oh look at somebody said he hates hospitals too. Room 22 episode of Twilight. Yes, okay, beefy beer. See, all right, I'm getting where this comes from, where the hospital hatred comes from. It's the Twilight Zone episode. But no, I think Belgium plays a big part in this being an R-rated film too. I think if it had been set in, well, the Netherlands would have probably been NC-17. But had it been set maybe in Germany, France especially is a good PG area. But Belgium is kind of, they have a bad history as far as, King Leopold was not a nice guy, especially the way he treated Zaire, the Congo. I think Belgium itself, we don't want our kids to be seeing Belgium unless they really, unless they're old enough and mature enough to, um,
I never even considered that would have
Yeah.
anything to do with it.
you know,
That's interesting.
yeah, beer and French fries are just, I actually, because there were some low points in the film, I went to CIAWorldFactbook.com and looked up some facts about Belgium. I don't know if you ever go to CIA World Factbook. I think it's worldfactbook.gov. I used to do that when I was in college as an anthropology major to look up information about a country like Afghanistan. But they have every country, the World Factbook. So if you ever want to travel somewhere, they'll tell you what to look out for. Belgium, it's about the size of Maryland, but population-wise, it's about the size of Georgia. So, that gives you an idea. You've got this little tiny place with all these people in it. That's an R rating right there, I think, just to start with. It just, for us Americans, it's not I don't know. It seems like a scary place to me. Am I wrong about this, or have you had the same idea about Belgium, or?
No, I never did.
You never thought about Belgium as an
guess-
R rating.
No, well, that's just not something I ever put into context. I never consider placement of film as having anything to do with the rating. It's something I will think about now for certain.
Yeah.
But it's just not something I ever considered.
Well, we don't even know what language they speak. They speak French sometimes. Sometimes they speak Dutch or German, Flemish. Like, they don't really even know. They think they're French, but they're kind of not. They're Belgian. They completely undermined us. With the whole freedom fries thing, because everybody was like, "Oh, we hate the French," freedom fries, and it's like, well, no, actually, French fries are from Belgium. They really kind of got us there with that one. I think it was good to see Aaron Eckhart run through the country and get them back. Get them back for the freedom fries thing. But I don't know. But
which is a term I never used anyway because
they're
don't be
they're
ridiculous.
Belgian, because they're from Belgium, right? Not because you hate the French.
Oh, and then the whole the sales of French's mustard went down. Are you
Yes.
kidding me?
I know.
I mean,
Am
God,
Am
damn
I?
it.
Oh, my last name is French. I'm of French descent. I had to go around using my mom's maiden name because I was a
You
fool.
just tell everyone you're Canadian.
I'm Canadian. Yes. No,
That's
it's
what,
on.
I mean,
Yes.
seriously, if you were American for a while, it was a safe bet to just if you went to a foreign country, like, no, I'm Canadian.
Yep.
Trust me, I know what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
the Canadian flag backpack patch. Yes. Oh my, yeah. Everybody had to have. They would tell you that too. Like, I would read books. They'd say, put on the Canadian flag backpack patch. It might work for you. Make sure you rhyme sorry with story.
Yeah, the only time anyone ever really wanted to be Canadian. Okay,
Exactly.
I love my Canadians.
Eh,
My God, that's 2 shows in a row tonight where we've done some I was
Oh.
I just on the Skeleton Crew we were talking about being Canadian and someone referred to them as Canadians as American light.
America Junior. That's what I always say
And
from
I
The Simpsons.
I said it was like, was the Canadians are to America as the Sacrament is to the actual Jim Jones story. If you saw the movie The Sacrament, then it's basically a watered down version
Mhm.
of the Jim Jones story. So
Oh man. Yeah.
But anyway, no, I'm kidding though. I love Canadians.
No,
and they
we
have
do.
a
And I-
beautiful, ripe history and an amazing countryside. I mean, it's
Yes.
beautiful. So
Yeah, and my
know.
family actually is
No,
from Quebec, so they are. I'm French by way of Canada, so I too.
you are. So you're
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we don't. Why don't we never say that? You notice we don't say that. I'm.
Tater tots,
Right. We
and they'll believe you.
Yeah. What do we say? We say like I'm half Irish, half French. We don't say I'm half Canadian, half French. We don't. It's not considered an ethnicity, I guess.
I guess it's not. I mean, I guess
No.
you're either Canadian or you're not.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I was almost born in Canada. My parents had moved to Canada while my mother was pregnant, and right before she was about to give birth, she changed her mind. She opted out and decided she wanted me to be born as an American. So they jetted back across the border and made it as far as Wisconsin before I was born,
Before you were
and
born.
then came back to Georgia. But I was almost Canadian. I was this close to being Canadian.
Can I just say I'm calling bullshit on that. I think you want to be president someday. You were born in Canada. You're just starting the fires right now. Getting out ahead of the birthers, right? You're getting out. You're getting out ahead of the birthers. We want to see that birth certificate. Yes.
This is my proof right here. You don't need to see a birth certificate. Listen to this podcast.
That's right. Exactly.
I said I'm American. Damn it. That's all you need.
CNN's going to be playing clips of this in 10 years, 10 or 15
yeah, because
years.
I'm ever going to be president.
That's it. Well, hey, apparently Obama's parents knew he was going to be president. That's why they set in motion the whole Hawaii thing ahead of time. They knew that he was going to be president. So, I there's no reason for me not to believe that you don't know something we don't about you being president. So
my mother had high hopes.
She had high hopes. She knew she was going to. Yes. Oh, man. Now, we had I wanted to talk about our female lead in this film because did you notice that she kind of looks like a poor man's Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Yes.
Yeah, and Jen made the joke.
The Anna.
Yes, was that her name, Anna?
Yes.
Yeah. Jen made the joke that it's kind of like No Reservations, right? Because except there's no restaurant and there's no Catherine Zeta-Jones, but otherwise it is, And so that was I got a kick out of that because I was like, oh, I didn't even think of No Reservations as another Aaron Eckhart film, and then there's the poor man's Catherine Zeta-Jones. It's almost like the sequel that we didn't expect. No Reservations. But yeah, what else did I have in here for mine? I don't know if you remember. I think I brought it up on maybe it was the Parker one. I think it was one of a previous podcasts. I talk about the trope where the people who help the hero are killed, and we get that really badly here, where we get this Belgian man. I don't know if he's from an Arab country or an Indian, but he's living in Belgium, and he's kind of one of those fix-it guys. And he helps get Aaron Eckhart and his daughter away from Antwerp, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Only to just have his daughter killed and him killed, and like it's not just that the hero dies. It's like the hero's like, what was it? His granddaughter or his niece? I don't know what it was, but a 5-year-old gets killed as well. So I've never liked this thing in action movies where people help the hero and they are thanked by being killed for their troubles.
Happens in horror movies too.
Yeah.
I mean, it basically the lesson that you learn from that is don't ever help anyone.
It's very American.
Haul ass.
Yeah, very, very American.
Going down, get out.
Yes, that's we're talking about how great. Oh, somebody says Asian buddy dies early in Temple of Doom. Exactly. Yeah, it's like we were talking about Aaron Eckhart as the American running through Belgium, and we like that idea. But the Belgians are teaching us that we help each other. You Americans, you feel like you shouldn't help it, or it's a sign of weakness to help somebody, and you're going to die for it. Apparently, is the message.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the message is to just don't help anyone.
Don't help anyone, and that's
you're right though. That is very American.
Oh, it's very, very conservative republic, like
y'all, I'm on my own.
Yeah. Unemployment, health insurance. What? No, we don't. You need to get sick and die, or you need to pay massive copays and premiums. That's it's the only way this works. There's no help, schmelp. They don't. It's and so that's the message. That's Belgium's last gasp before Aaron Eckhart blows up the whole country, and I gave away the ending.
Flies go everywhere.
Yes, it's a big, Belgium just disintegrates in a mushroom cloud.
He didn't really give up the ending though. I mean, he doesn't actually blow up the entire country. Or did he? I don't know. Did that?
It's it. That's it. It's just the World Cup never
That's one
happened.
powerful briefcase.
Yes, yes, it was what it was. That's it, Belgium. You're done. Your time's up, baby. I would, what would we have done? Where would we have gotten our Stella Artois if they blew up Belgium?
Well, was this? When did this come out? 2012. Okay, so it was
Yeah.
after. So we still would have gotten that movie.
So we would have gotten in Bruce. So you still would have been able to do your podcast. There you go. Yeah. So,
I'm okay with that.
yes. That would be like a great movie, though. I don't know what are there other countries you could blow up, but Belgium is,
Would it have a massive impact on the rest of the world?
Ugh.
Well, that's where a lot of the diamonds come from. So there's that.
No, the diamonds don't come from there, right? The
They're-
diamonds are taken from
They
maybe.
go to Antwerp to buy the diamonds, so
Yeah, so
they
maybe.
have somewhere else to peddle their diamonds.
Yeah. Well, what happens is that the African countries, they get to keep more of their money. It's not getting funneled through Belgium. There's less of an exploitative system. So
Okay, well that's a good thing.
yeah, Sierra Leone becomes a world power.
So
Oh, somebody said Luxembourg. Yeah. Well, what would probably happen is that if you blew up Belgium, Luxembourg would get taken along with it because it's right there, Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
they'd at least have some fallout.
yeah, we probably lose half of the
They'd have
Netherlands.
radiation sickness.
Oh, it'd be, they're all so tightly packed in there, It's like, it's like for us, we'd be like, oh, what the hell do you need South Dakota? I hate to admit, what do you need Maine for? I guess, it's another small state, but like
Nebraska. He lives in Nebraska.
Nebraska, exactly. And if you blew up Nebraska, you'd probably take, yeah, you'd take a little Kansas with you, maybe the eastern part of Colorado. It's,
The
and
majority of the population is focused on the eastern coast anyway, like
Yes.
up and down the eastern seaboard. So
Yeah.
way out there in the west, there, that's kind of expendable.
we don't, we don't even know what. I think the only thing I could think of that happens in Nebraska is the College World Series, and
That's where Arbor Day started.
was Nebraska.
Interestingly, because they have no trees.
Yeah, that's why it started, because they're just like, give us
They
some
want trees. Damn it.
trees, please give us some trees. Take them from Belgium. We'll take.
As we learned from In Bruges, if we blew up Belgium, then we
Right.
would be missing all those fantastic buildings.
Yes.
Because that's all they talk about. Like the majority of the
Well-
film is the historical buildings and how beautiful they are. So we lose
Exactly.
that.
That's what I was saying. Is that's the good, right? It's like they have everything that's good and bad about Europe all in one cute little Maryland-sized package, And it's like, they got the really nice buildings. They have that kind of cute European cosmopolitanness. But like I said, there's also there's the racism. There's the, I don't know. There's the pomposity. Is that a word? The pompousness. Yeah, it's it's good and bad, and so yeah, we'd lose the buildings. I guess is that.
Well, you can get racism anywhere. So
Yes, that's true.
That's not something that would, I think, tilt the world view.
Yes.
You can just always go somewhere else to get that.
Yeah.
And there are pompous assholes everywhere you
Exactly.
go.
I'm sure you can
so,
go to other parts of Europe and get them.
I don't know. Waffles?
Ooh, yeah. Well, Beefy Beard talked about wanting his waffles R-rated, right, because of the Belgians. And that's probably another part of it. Those waffles are big, and that's another thing that's very scary for kids because you think about kids, they have their smaller bodies, and their parents always tell them to eat all their food, and I know my nephew, he loves waffles, like the frozen Eggo waffle types. If you slap down some big Belgian waffle, he'd run. He'd be like, no, I can't. I'm not eating that. I don't know what you're talking. Make me some Easy Mac or something. And he might not be able to sleep that night either. He might have to stay up all night playing Minecraft. So I think the waffles are also R-rated. I think that's another area where we get the R rating for this film.
Well, you could make them R-rated if you took like whipped cream and drew
Oof.
some dirty pictures on them.
Yes. Well.
Some cherries for nipples.
Yes.
I've seen it somewhere.
Well, and we know when it comes to movie ratings, violence is okay, but sex, that's
where it gets
Oof.
gets questionable because
yeah.
God forbid
Oh.
that anyone be aware
Mm-hmm.
that sex is something that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. you can show pictures of Aaron Eckhart's scarred back all you want, but man, you start moving a little too far to the front there, and boom, you're treading on NC-17 territory, you know?
Well, yeah, because as far as movies are concerned, we have no genitalia.
No, we're just
We're
Barbie
like
and Ken.
mannequins. We're Barbie and Ken, exactly. It's just, and that doesn't happen.
No.
We can't have sex.
No.
And the human body is wrong.
Yes.
There's something horribly wrong with the human body. Haven't you heard?
Well, right, when we don't have sex, right, we make love, and it's really just like canned romantic music, sheets, covered in sheets, and just kind of like
L-shaped sheet
the
that magically covers the woman up to her armpits and the man up to her waist.
Yes, and it's just kind of like this rhythmic thing that, like, I'm, you know, it's like the ocean or something. We're just kind of, you know, like grooving. We're not really having sex. We're just kind of grooving into each other. You know, it's almost like it's set to the music, right? There's something.
Don't make too much noise.
Yes.
Because that'll get you an R rating too.
Yeah.
Can't
No.
make too much noise.
Well, that's why you don't have the noise. You have a montage of different angles, and then the music, right? A lot of saxophone.
E-caps.
Yeah.
Small of the back.
Yeah, feet occasionally. Feet. No, actually, usually don't have feet because you're completely covered by the blankets.
Well, sometimes you can have the legs sticking out of the blankets and the feet sort of rubbing against each other.
Yes.
And that will indicate that there is something going on there.
Yeah, and then of course in Mitchell you have the getting the beer with his feet and the baby oil in the corner. That would be NC-17 as far as I'm concerned. That's hideous, but you know. But it is kind of a fascinating thing, like what we've done to sex in movies in the United States. Like we've just turned, you know, it's like violence is, hey, you know, get out there and do your thing. You know, like my favorite PG-13 movie is The Dark Knight because you've got Aaron Eckhart who gets half his face burnt off. You get Maggie Gyllenhaal who gets to watch a clock tick down while she dies, and you get a villain who gives people bloody smiles, and boom, there you go, PG-13. You know, you're good to go. But man, if you had just cut all of that out and you just had Christian Bale having sex with Maggie Gyllenhaal, that would have been it. It would have been.
Yeah.
Would have been all over. Yes. Now, Beefy Beer just mentioned the Silent Rage sex montage. There are some great action film sex scenes. Any of them with Don the Dragon Wilson are just hilarious, and I always kind of wonder like where these women get their sense that they want to have sex with Don the Dragon. But I mean, those ones are just always hilarious. Don is like, you know, he was always uncomfortable as an actor anyway, and then put him in the love scene, and it's just, you know, he's, you know, he looks like the guy who complains on Tumblr about being friend zoned, or on Reddit or something about being friend zoned. His awkwardness, you know, in those scenes. If there was any of the blood sports when he, or not blood fists when he has a love scene, those are hilarious. Those should be rated R. That's for sure.
I love how you categorize everyone as Tumblr people.
Tumblr or Reddit, yes.
What kind of Tumblr person are you?
Me.
This is the kind of Tumblr person I am.
Yes.
I don't have Tumblr.
Oh, yes.
I don't do Tumblr. I don't go to Tumblr. I've been there some in the past and didn't quite get what. I mean, I was like, okay, I don't get the draw. So what does that make me? Old?
No. No. It means you're free. No, but I got into Tumblr. A girl I knew a while back. She wanted to do a blog, and she's telling me about Tumblr. This was in '09, and I had been doing the direct-to-video connoisseur for a little while then, and she wanted me to help her out, so I did. And I was like, oh, this Tumblr thing, I might be able to use this to maybe get some of my own short stories out. Excuse me, and then also get the word out about my blog. And next thing I knew, it became Facebook for me, and I was just, you know, but that's actually how I met Jen. We both through music, because we both posted a lot of music, and we kind of found through some other mutual music person, we just kind of got to know each other through that, and it was kind of crazy. So that's how I met my wife, was through Tumblr. But
well, and I know people who they won't touch Facebook, but they're all over Tumblr, you know, and it's like, oh, I got this many people following me on Tumblr, and this person, I've been trying to get them to follow me for a long time, and they finally did, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, it's not better than Facebook, I'll tell you that. That you get when you get on there, it can be pretty hardcore, Tumblr. But like one of the things is like, see, I'll notice like a woman that I follow. Usually it's a female that will reblog one of these guys that talks about being in the friend zone, and it just becomes kind of this big huge thing about this whole idea that if you put enough nice coins in a woman, she'll have sex with you, and that's the only way, and so when I always hear about that friend zone thing, like I just like the first thing that when we were talking about Don the Dragon Wilson in his films having sex, I just thought of like, maybe how these friend zone guys that have, always complain about not being able to sleep with a woman because they ignore them. That's probably what they see sex as, is just Don the Dragon Wilson getting after it. Lots of saxophone, montage clips, that kind of thing. I don't know. But yeah, there are a few different, you get the social justice warriors on Tumblr. You get a lot of black and white porn. And I've noticed that both men and women tend to post a lot of black and white. Guys with beards, tattoos, and the women are usually, not as many tattoos on the women usually, but the kids like a lot of that. They like a lot, Oh, wait, when you live in the friend zone, there are no strings. I like that. Oh man, yeah. So it's kind of like I don't know. Yeah, it is. It's I don't get to go on as much anymore, but I do get on there enough. You'll notice I'll check out like John is on there, After Movie Diner, so you can check out his. There are a few really cool blogs on there, and I have my direct-to-video connoisseur one.
Yeah, well, you got what you wanted. You don't need to go back anymore.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yes.
What's funny though is that's how you met Jen. But you know how I met Brian?
How?
He was a listener.
Wow.
He was a listener to one of my shows, and it just sort of, grew from there. We just started out as friends, and then it just sort of grew from there. But I mean, it's amazing because my relationship before that, which lasted for like 9 years, was also internet based originally.
Yeah.
And then he relocated, and we lived together for several years. But that was because I was a writer on a website, and he was a fan of my writing, and then just sort of took off from there. So
yeah, we don't think about this, but I think we think that the internet, doing it by the internet, is kind of a crazy way to do it, but really what it is the internet allows you to kind of weed out people who, the dating process, you don't always find out right away if people have the same interests as you, because it seems kind of superficial to start with. But with the internet, you kind of can get in there on that, like, like, oh boy, we both really love this kind of thing, and you can kind of start the conversation from there, and you can kind of weed out the people that aren't going to have the same interests without the whole process of like dating for 5 or 6 months and all of the other stuff.
And then realizing,
yeah.
Oh man, all this time he told me he was a horror fan, and I'll be damned if he's not really.
Yes, exactly.
To be honest, that is a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
Like I can't be with someone who is not a horror fan, because it's just too much of who I am.
Yeah.
So, and I was unable to find anyone locally that really. It just never worked out.
Right.
I mean, it just, they're like, oh yeah, I like horror. Was that? I like Friday the 13th. Yeah, that first one with Jason. No.
No, didn't have Jason. That's crazy,
no,
but no.
You're a liar.
Yeah. Yeah, you watched the new one is what you did.
So yeah. I love that. I love your delivery. That was great.
Oh man.
But it allows you to immediately know where at least you have something in common.
Right.
And then there's a lot of the usual tension that goes along with person-to-person relationships, like of in-person relationships in the very beginning, that makes it sort of difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That is not present. You get a chance to know the person more deeply. Then, of course, you have those people out there who are like, well, you're on the internet, you don't really know them. And then, but, I think if you know how to do it right, then you do.
Well, that's the thing, because they talk about things like catfish and stuff, but it seems like with the catfish ones, and this is a horrible sweeping generalization to make, and I shouldn't make it, but it always seems like there are red flags that these people ignore. I don't know. Am I right about that? Or I know I was watching one today, and Neve and Max were talking about how, this came up and this isn't true. We talked to these people and they said this isn't true, and the girl's like, yeah, but it could be this or it could be that, and turned out that her dreamy male model guy turned out to be a lesbian woman that was catfishing her the whole time.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that's what it is I think that's what you know, when there are certain, you know, there seems to be some major things, and I think I've seen one out of all of them where those major red flags ended up not being the case. It just ended up being a guy who just didn't know how to use a webcam and was just embarrassed that he didn't make enough money, and that was it. And it turned out they were great for each other. But other times when they don't want to use a webcam, it's like, well, okay, you know, or they don't want to talk on the phone, or they don't want to show, you know, you're kind of like, okay, you know. And I think we maybe we're savvy enough to know it, or, you know, maybe if you're, because you've had, you know, a lot of them are younger kids too, I know, on the show, and so maybe that helps too. When we're older, we've had a few more real relationships prior to being on the internet, that we know what to look for, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just know enough about people, eventually you can figure it out. And I mean, now Skype is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And you actually feel like, if you're in a long distance relationship, you actually feel like you're a lot closer than you did many years ago when you didn't have Skype, and then it was mainly phone calls.
Right.
Hours and hours and hours of phone calls every single day.
Yeah.
But I did, you know, I really think that people are starting to get an understanding of the fact that it's not so weird anymore.
Right.
There was like many years ago, when I was with the one guy that I was with for so long. I mean, so I was with him for like 9 years, so that goes way back.
Right.
And it's already been, you know, a year since then. So it's like 10 years ago, there was sort of a stigma attached to meeting people online, and I don't think it's really that much of a big deal anymore. And also, if you look at the statistics, something like, I saw like a really mind-blowing statistic not too long ago. It was something like in the 80 percentile of relationships these days at least start. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're long distance. It could just be local, and then you just happen to meet on the internet or whatever. But there's a huge percentage of relationships these days that start on the internet. So I think it's just it's getting to be more acceptable. I mean, of course, you have to be careful, but you have to be careful if you meet someone face to face.
Exactly.
I mean, people meet serial killers all the time, and they never make it out of the basement.
Yeah, Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy did a great job before.
Exactly.
You know,
and
Facebook.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they met these people face to face, and
they went to clubs
back,
and stuff.
and they ended up in a vat of acid.
Yes.
So there's always something you always have to be careful, and if you just pay attention and, you know, get to know a person, you can. Yeah. You can. And it works out very successfully a lot of times.
Yeah.
Has for you.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's kind of a great note to end things. Well, we're kind of, you know, not end to end, but we're start to wrap things up. So Erased, I think we're both kind of giving this one a go, right? Is that a yes?
I say give this movie a watch. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any preconceived notion of it going in. I knew that I liked Aaron Eckhart, but I didn't. Just the Netflix description seemed very basic.
Right.
But and I guess it kind of was, if you're, you know. But it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm the same. You know, I wasn't expecting to like it, to be honest. Like the first 10 minutes or so, I thought, well, I don't know. But I think it you know, I think, again, especially if you're an Aaron Eckhart fan, but I think overall this is a very earnest attempt. The film is, you know, it's a little too Bourne Identity-ish, but I think Aaron Eckhart is able to transcend that for me.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Now, what have you got going on as far as podcast-wise or other projects going on?
Well, let's see. Right now we're cranking along in our Friday retrospective on Devour the Podcast. So that'll be pretty fun. We recorded the first show. We still haven't recorded Friday 2, but that's going to be, I'm looking forward to that. Because I'm Team Jason all the way. Love him. And that's fun for me. So I'm doing that. And then there's the playlist. I had a really fun episode last night. If anybody wants to check out the link to that, just hit me up either on Facebook or Twitter. facebook.com/Maven1974. You can even email me, maven1974@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to send you a link to that if you want to listen to it before it hits the website. And then I'm working on next week's playlist. The next Tuesday is my birthday, so
excellent.
I'm actually doing a show. I'm doing my live show on my birthday.
Nice.
So I think what I'm going to be doing is all music from 1974.
Oh, excellent. Oh, that sounds good.
I haven't actually dived in
Right.
yet to see what I'll come up with, but that's the first thing that popped into my head. It's either that or all birthday songs, and I got about 4 of those. So
excellent.
That's a very short show.
Yes, well, that sounds good then. Excellent. We'll look forward to that then. Jamie's birthday. Well, I'll wish you a happy birthday on Tuesday, and check out your show then.
Come listen to me live Tuesday at 11, and that would be a wonderful birthday present for me.
All right, excellent. Well, we are finished with today's show. Remember, you can always check us out on iTunes if you missed the show. I'm at mattmovieguide.com, also on Twitter. I am at DTV Connoisseur, and Jamie just mentioned she's at Maven1974. Stay tuned with us tonight. We've got John coming up with music. We've also got wrestling and crosstalk at 11. So
actually, crosstalk is coming up now.
Oh, it's coming up now. Oh, okay.
He switched his time slot. So
okay.
Crosstalk is coming up at 9, and then I think he'll be doing his music later. But his guest wasn't able to do the late time slot. So Crosstalk's coming up next.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you all for listening, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
All right.
Hear that? That's the sound of a patient whose health data is protected from a cyber attack. And that's the sound of a financial system that's digitally secured from bad actors. Right now, there's an invisible war being fought on a digital battlefield that impacts what we do every day. That's why at Peraton, we do the can't be done to help protect the vital systems we rely on. Because if we don't, the alternative is unimaginable. Peraton.